what happens in many relationships, whether alcohol or drugs are involved or not, is that the person who views themselves as a victim asks for help, and the rescuer helps. And the victim asks for help again, and the rescuer helps again. And it continues to go on to the point where the victim begins to feel slightly diminished. They begin to look up to the rescuer as if this person is stronger, and they feel grateful that they're able to help, but they also feel a bit worn down. The rescuer really enjoys the ability to be of service, but they begin to feel superior to the other person. They feel like they have no choice now but to help out every time. They begin to get a little resentful of always needing to be the strong one. At that point, the relationship has become skewed. The boundaries have become blurred. Obligation and entitlement has replaced equality and volition. The rescuer now starts to take care of the victim even when the victim is not asking for help. And the victim will ask for help when the rescuer is not available for help. The relationship has degenerated into a codependent relationship, and that can't last. At some point, the rescuer is going to try to help one too many times or say no, and the victim has finally had it. He or she moves to the persecutor's position and tells the rescuer what a horrible person they really are because they either stepped over their boundary or helped when they were not asked, or they wouldn't help when the victim wanted them to. The rescuer is now amazed that this has happened. They feel like a victim and move to that position. They can't believe that the person has treated them so shabbily after all they have done, and they express it. The persecutor tends to feel shame. The pent-up emotion is released. They don't feel quite as run down. They remember how much they were grateful to the rescuer, so they say, "I'm sorry," which enables the rescuer, who is now in the victim's role, to move to the persecutor's role and say, "Yeah, you should be sorry after all I've done to help you." So they nail the person, and that allows the victim to go back to their original role. The victim is a childlike position. That means that the rescuer moves back from the persecutor role back to their original role and begins to help the victim out again by caring about the hurt feelings. This is a dependent, unequal position and terribly unhealthy for both people. It can happen in any sort of relationship. It is a typical parent-child relationship, and it's one that is very common. It can also work the opposite way. The victim asks for something and the rescuer doesn't feel like they can say no, but they want to. So they move into the persecutor role. They become angry with the victim, then feel terribly shameful that they did so. And so they try to help again. It is a symbolic relationship. It is a stereotypic relationship. And one thing that is really important to see is how much control the victim has in this kind of dynamic. If a person has ever tried to help somebody who refuses to be helped, they'll recognize that this person is often running the show. Very often when the rescuer stops helping, the victim begins to thrive, and the rescuer often feels diminished or deteriorates. Most people, especially in intimate relationships, will choose to be involved with people on their same developmental level. They don't go outside of that level very often. Therefore, most partners are as strong or as weak as their partners. They don't really need much assistance at all. It is incredibly important to keep any kind of helping to a minimum. It is wonderful to be able to help others at times, but if a person helps too much, they actually impede the other person and step over their boundary. The victim actually becomes more dependent. The more help that is given, the worse it tends to get, and it often can be perceived as demeaning. One should be cautious when thinking of helping another person. The codependent is often in a double bind position. They really can't win in any position except to try to hit that middle line, which is to help seldom and only when someone is maintaining a sense of their own responsibility.